My name's Sam, and I'm the owner of babyREADY. And I talked last time about some of the signs and symptoms of labor, and I want to back things up a little bit. I'm going to revisit those like I promised. I want to sort of remind you of what some of the signs and symptoms are of labor. But more than that, I want to back things up and talk just a little bit about some of my own thoughts about the labor process. So what I want to tell you today is that birth can be an amazing experience if that's what you tell yourself you're looking for. But if you're not looking for an amazing experience, if you're not looking for a wonderful journey, then no matter how picture perfect your labor is, you are going to find fault with the process as a whole. So I want you to set yourself up for a great process for your birth from start to finish. I recognize and respect that conception isn't always easy, that pregnancies can be challenging for some people physically and emotionally. And so I'm not trying to take away from that. I'm simply focusing on the birth itself. And to that end, I want you to put on your rose-colored glasses, and I want you to think about birth the way that you want it to be. All too often when we ask people their opinion about what their birth was like, we hear words like painful, long, arduous, frightening, and disempowering, things like that just aren't what you're looking for. It's not surprising that a significant percentage of the population who goes into labor, whether on their own or whether it's artificially stimulated for them to start labor, they go into the process and the journey with an overwhelming sense of fear and dread. And I don't want that for you, because at the end of the day, that isn't how it is for a significant percentage of the population. I can't promise you a vaginal birth. I can't promise that you won't need vacuum, forceps, episiotomy, epidural, or cesarean section. But I can promise you that if you spend more time looking for the good stuff and less time focusing on the negative experiences, then your overall picture of how your birth unfolded and how your parenting journey with this child began is going to be remarkably different. The question then becomes, how do we put on those rose-colored glasses and make that more what we see than the alternative that's described to us by so many others, especially movies and TV shows and close friends? Let me encourage you right now to advise the people who are close to you, who have been down the parenting path and birthing path before you, who want to provide you with their story so that you have an idea of what to expect. Let me encourage you to have them hold their stories until you have a story of your own to share. This is an important piece, because to those who have birthed before you, once they hold their beautiful baby in their arms and they count fingers and toes and lay names on this person and see eye color and all of these other wonderful things, they forget the journey that you embarked upon and the process that unfolded to becoming parents from the labor perspective. And so they tell their story from a place without fear. And unfortunately, too many stories that precede theirs have incited fear. So you hear what they have to say, and it is terrifying, quite frankly. And I don't blame you for being terrified by that. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't share their stories, because I think we all need to share the stories of the births that we've been through. But I encourage you to respectfully request that they hold their stories until you can have a reciprocal dialogue about your mutual experiences. That sounds silly to some, and to others it sounds rude. I just wanted to tell them what my experience was like. And I get that. I do truly get that. And I honor the fact that your journey was remarkable for you. No one can take that away. However, your journey was yours and their journey is theirs. And so it is always important to meet in the middle. So that's the first piece of advice that I truly soundly want to offer you about that kind of an approach to the birth process. Next, I encourage you to surround yourself with people you feel are truly deeply educated about the kind of birth you want to have. That is key. This is key for people who are not having babies within the confines of a heteronormative structure. This is also important for those who are having babies within the heteronormative structure. But for those who are in same-sex relationships, those who've hired surrogates, those who are trans and having babies, even though they present to the outside world as men, they harbor a womb that is effective for them in giving birth, and they all of you need to be respected for who you are and the dynamics of the life you live. And so finding a care provider who can respect and honor that and put your needs about your environment, your lifestyle, your family structure, all of it in perspective respectfully for you is huge. It's huge. I can't stress that enough. There are a multitude of different providers. And if you can't find an immediate care provider who is able to honor what you need to have honored because there's a lack of care providers in the community you're living in, there's a lack of care providers with experience in your family dynamics, then make sure that you spend some time and look for a doula. And if you haven't heard of the word doula before, I would encourage you to look it up. The word is spelled D-O-U-L-A. And it's an ancient word. And ultimately, what it means more than anything is that it is a person who works with the expectant parent and their support people to create an environment with information and emotional support and physical support. So if you don't know where to find a doula in your area who has experience working with family dynamics like yours, then please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to provide you resources in your communities. I know a variety of different people around the globe who work in a lot of different places. So probably the easiest way is to send me a DM on Instagram at babyReadyLGBTQ, and I will do what I can to connect you with somebody who matters to your family. And so find someone who's able to be educated to support you. And I don't necessarily mean university education. I just mean educated in the birth process, the way yours is hopefully going to unfold for you. And so that's one key piece. Doulas aren't allowed at this particular time in the world. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and while we all hope that this is a short period of time in our lives, we have no idea what the next 6 weeks looks like, let alone 6 months or even 18 months from now. So at this time, there are precious few facilities that allow doulas to physically attend births within the dynamics of the hospital. At this time, in the community where I live, as I said to you before, I live just west of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. There is one facility west of me here in Hamilton that allows doulas to be physically present during a birth process. But they do require that the doula is credentialed. So your doula would be required to show their credentials, certification through a recognized body when they arrive at the hospital to support you. There's also the Toronto Birth Center, and it is my understanding that the people attending in a doula role do also need to show their credentials there as well. So just keep that in the back of your mind. If you are birthing somewhere where either you don't feel comfortable having a doula physically present because you're birthing at home, but you're trying to limit the number of people in your space, or a doula is not physically allowed, I would encourage you to consider using someone who does virtual douling. And in a case like that, sometimes that allows you to have a doula from wherever in the world you want them to be from. But the doulas that I'm thinking of offer either Zoom calls or FaceTime calls or Skype or some other messaging service that allows video contact, so that when you are in hospital or at home, if you don't want the doula there, you're able to communicate with them eye to eye. Put them up on a screen beside you, on your iPad or tablet beside you or your laptop. Put a call through to them, and they can offer physical suggestions as opposed to physical immediate support for the labor process. They can provide you with information, and they can certainly be an emotional guide for you for your journey. But having a care provider team that is a team that you like, having emotional, physical, and informational support is important, and having a partner or someone else there who is allowed to be with you in a physical role makes a huge difference. That educational, informational, physical, and emotional support of your team goes a long way in helping you achieve the birth you're wanting to have. So I just wanted to address that because I think that that's supremely important. Next time when we're talking about the labor process, I just want to spend a little bit of time talking about making sure you don't spend too much time in your own head during the labor process, because I think that too often we do that, and that can really hinder the progress during the process. So have a great day, and we'll talk soon.